How do you turn £100 into £100,000? It's through simple and relatively boring stuff, which I suppose in this day and age you don't want to hear very often. I get asked lots, how do I start investing? I've done lots of investing in property, stocks and shares, gold, bonds, all the different vehicles that you can imagine. Now, I've done it wrong at times. I've gone for the shiny penny. I've tried to do too much and go for big stuff that would get me rich overnight. And it's got me burnt. And I suppose with anything in life, with any great reward comes great risk. So you hear a lot of the time of the great success stories, the overnight success stories, or the ones that have made lots of millions as it might be. But you don't hear very often about the ones where you lose hundreds of thousands of pounds and people don't ever come back from it sometimes, and sometimes they do, and then that makes a slightly better story. But the bad stuff doesn't quite hit the headlines as much. So I want to do more of how can we invest safely, how can we invest over a long term, and how can we make it work for 20 to 30-year-olds that haven't had the financial education that we get at school, like we don't get any at school in the UK here, and how can we get to our first 100k, which I believe is probably the first hardest part, and then the rest sort of, once you've learned the fundamentals and principles, the rest takes care of itself. So I'm doing it backwards to a degree. I didn't start doing this when I was in my 20s. I don't know how many people probably do, but I want to sort of try and make it more accessible to people to do that. So then going forward, like, you're in a better place, whereas I wasn't. I sort of had to go backwards, lose a lot of money to go forward again, and here we are. So I know why. The first problem that a lot of people have is like £100 feels pointless. Like, what is even the point? I'm not going to get anywhere. It's not going to make a lot of money. Like, what is the point in putting £100 in? But putting £100 to start with is a habit that needs forming. So like anything in life, whether that be going to the gym, eating good food, brushing your teeth, it's a habit that gets formed over time. And then you get to a point where I dare say you probably don't even think about brushing your teeth or having a drink. Like, it is a habit that you do. So setting up your first part of your investment is a great start. So £25 a week, I know that even if you're on the lowest of low wages or the minimum wage, I know that is a amount of money that you can set aside. If it is a Nando's that you don't have that week, then that is a helpful point. But what you want to do is set up a consistent thing. And then the next problem that people have, so you need to set up the habit of the £100. Let's use some examples here of what £100 could get you, even if you stayed at £100 and you didn't increase it, you didn't reinvest, or you didn't do much more with it. But let's say you stayed with £100. If you're enjoying this video so far, I really appreciate you watching. If you've watched this far, I do really appreciate it. If you could subscribe and like my channel, it'd be really helpful. It'll give you some notifications of when videos come. Also, in the link in the description below is a little link for a wealth guide. So I've created like a how to start investing, really basic, really helpful, hopefully, on a bit of a no BS advice on that. So if you want to click on that, I think you just have to fill out your email, it'll send it to your inbox, and yeah, hopefully that's really helpful too. So if you could like, subscribe, and I hope to see you around a little bit more. The Vanguard FTSE Global All Index Fund and the Vanguard Life Strategy 100% Equity Fund both historically have delivered between 9 and 10% per annum over the long run. Past performance isn't always guaranteed for future performance, I'll have to always say that, but we have a fairly good data set of what may or may not happen over the next few years. Now, we can go into in a different video around what like global index funds are, but fundamentally for the point of this and how we're starting is you're investing in lots of companies around the world. So if one goes wrong, you've got 99 others that you're invested in, for example, and then that 1 or 2 or 3 problems that they may have, you're covered because you've diversified your risk. But at a 10% per average growth, here's what happens to £100 a month. After 10 years, it becomes £19,735. Doesn't sound like loads. After 20 years, £68,730. And after 30 years, £198,378. So you can see, just by constant compounding and compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world, you can get to a huge amount of money by doing very, very little. Say you invested £100 a month into a bank account that had no interest and was doing no returns. You would only have, after 30 years, £36,000. So the difference between investing at 10% or investing in an index fund at 10% and doing nothing is over £150,000 difference. That is enormous. Problem number 2 that people have all the time is waiting to start. I'll wait next year, or retirement feels so far away, or saving doesn't become a priority, so I won't start. What's the point? What's the point at £100? What's the point doing it this week? What's the point doing it at my age? Like, all the bits. And these are all bits that I've done. Like, these are all bits that I've said. I always remember my dad passing me book after book and saying, do this, do that. It couldn't be heard. Like, I won't be told I want to go do what I want to do now. I want to go spend it on holidays. I want to go spend it on food. I want to go spend it on coffee or booze. Like, and you can do both, right? Let's not say that, like, investing means that you can't do any of that, but it is important that you do a little bit of both, because that habit and that muscle, and when you start seeing the results, and as humans we like to see results, this day and age we want instant gratification and instant results, which isn't possible, but when you start seeing that, you become more confident in adding more than £100 a month, 100 to 150, £200 a month alongside as you climb any business or corporate ladder that I made. And one thing I would say is time is the only thing that you can't get back. So we can add and invest and save more. We can make more money. We can do more with our lives. We can make more out of the side hustles and, you know, earning more at work potentially, whatever. But we can't get time back. We can't get 5 or 10 years of investing back, especially with compounding and how the market has gone over the years. So probably the biggest solution to the problem that I've just presented is start investing now. And if I could speak to anybody, if just one person watches this video and starts investing, it'd mean the world. I had a videographer for a while, Camilo, who's such a fantastic guy. He's come over from Mozambique, working really hard. And one of the proudest moments I've ever had is when he sent me a screenshot of a Vanguard ISA that he'd opened. I said, I'm going to start investing in here, Si, after listening and talking to you. And I was like, wow. I didn't expect him to do it. I never told him to do it. It's just I'd happened to be speaking about it so often when we were working together that he went and done it. I really hope that in the next 20 years, the guy becomes so financially free he can do what he wants. It's incredible that he's taken that on board and started. And a little bit later in the video, I'll talk through what your returns potentially could be as you invest in money, and then also increase your investments and what you could save, and then also work it backwards. So my goal for it is to get 100,000 people to 100,000k. So if I can grow this channel and grow what I want to do, my little goal is to get to as many people to earn what is a relatively small amount, large to most, but relatively small amount in the bigger picture of stuff and how long we live in our lives, but get to your first 100k. And I'll break down how you can do that and the quicker ways of doing it, as in monetary example. Problem number 3 that we have is that everybody wants quick wins. I spoke earlier in the video about how my want and need for quick wins has burned me and cost me loads of money. Not cost me money going that way and investing, cost me lots of money in losses, time, hassle, stress, you know, all these things that you can't put a figure and a time and a number on. So everybody sees the crypto millionaires, the forex traders, the Amazon FBA traders, and everything looks so simple online. And I suppose simple, exciting, and big numbers sells, but some of the most unsexy stuff sells pretty well too, or it should sell better than it does. So I think there is this sort of, the problem with this sort of the day and age that we have of quick dopamine hits and instant gratification and wanting stuff today and not necessarily worried about tomorrow also works in a way that people want everything so quickly. They want to see the 1,000% returns. They want the £1,000 a day returns that you see advertised online. And whereas I think that what we have to do, instead of gambling instead of gambling and trying to hit the winner, whether that be the lottery, the crypto, the forex, the stock that might go to the moon, wherever that might be. If we can invest in the whole market that has a really sensible data set over a long period of time, that invests in, and there's thousands of global indexes, there's thousands of different funds that you can invest around the world, invest into different markets, invest into markets without certain countries in, you can invest into global without America, you can invest into global without Japan. There are so many different variations, but if you had it where you invested in the world, spread your risk, and just started with that, maybe once it's triggered your interest, you could have a look at some individual stock picks or changing the funds about a little bit. But if we just go on a few recommendations and ones that have had such good past performance, we know that we can hit that 8 to 10% per annum, that we know over the period and over time will continually provide returns. So I've recommended 2 index funds in this video. I recommend going onto the Vanguard traders platform, and first, if you're in the UK, really ISA to start with, which is a tax efficient wrapper, so any profits that you make within that wrapper you don't get taxed on, so it's a bit of a double bonus. So have you worked that out, not just so you get 8 to 10% returns, but you can get up to 30 or 40% discount on tax potentially, and you can invest £20,000 of your own money in there each year. We're not going to worry about hitting that limit just yet, because we're just starting with our £100 right now. If we can go to Stocks and Shares ISA on Vanguard, open and invest in one of the 2 global index funds that I've just recommended, and then set up a direct debit to pay £100 into that each month, and set for the accumulation one. So that is the one that will effectively reinvest any profits or any dividends that get paid out through that. And again, we could talk dividends later down the line. So here's the meat of the video. How do we get from £100 to 100k, and how quickly can we do it? So obviously the fundamentals of this video is that we're going to start with £100, but let's say that we could increase that, and we can increase what we can afford, or we can cut back on some other things that we're spending and put that into the ISA, and we can put that into our savings so we can get to there quicker. But say we want to get there by a specific time, let's work this backwards. £100 a month gets you to £198,000 in 30 years, and that really sort of accelerates towards the back end of that investment time period. £150 a month gets you to £102,000 in 20 years. So just an extra £50 a month saves you 10 years. Huge, huge, huge savings. And especially as you get into years sort of 12 to 20, that bell curve and that compound interest really works. And here's the kicker, which I think is a fantastic one. And this is only £120 a week, which I do it. I know everybody does it. We fritter that away without even blinking an eye. £530 a month will get you 100k in 10 years. So if you started this at 21, by the time of being 31, you could have £100,000 saved. Now, the effects, the cumulative effects of that throughout your life is enormous. But even if you are 35, 40, 45, start putting that £500 a month, £120 a week away. That will really quickly change your life and change where you'll get to in retirement, pension, or further down the line for whatever. If you want to do it as quickly as 5 years and get into £100,000, you need to put £1,500 a month away, which is quite aggressive, and that is aggressive because you don't quite get the effect of compound interest. Now, obviously, once you get to that 100k and it keeps going, then the compound interest of the recycling of that capital and how you invest it would really work. So if you could get there really quickly, obviously down the line it'd be fantastic. But that is a really an aggressive way to start if you want to. The key is consistency. So if you can start that consistency and that habit and then just build up, you will get to the 100k and onwards goal before you'll know it. The power of starting small is the sort of next lesson that I want to make in this video. Here's a couple of examples. Now let's say 2 people put £20 a month away from the age of 18. One puts in a piggy bank just on their desk, one puts in a global index fund. By the age of 60, the piggy bank saver has £10,000. £20 a month, 10,000 quid. The investor close to 150k, £140,000 of technically not their money that they've ever had to earn or trade their time for. The market, the stock market, has given them that back. The businesses that they've invested in have done all the work for you. They've taken all the risk. They've grown their businesses. They've paid the dividends. They've paid the returns. They've paid the shareholders, which means that you can have your £150,000. Another problem we get a lot is investing feels complicated. And it does. Dividends, shareholders, balance sheets, shareholders agreements, growth, losses. There's jargon that I can't even understand a lot of the time. But it doesn't have to be complicated. Let's really simplify this. The whole purpose of me and why I want to do this channel is to get 100,000 people to 100k, but simplify it so simple that a 15-year-old could understand it. I think that's the most important thing in investing and anything. But let's keep it simple. We've already spoken about this just before. Open a Vanguard. Go to vanguard.co.uk. Go onto the website, open a stocks and shares ISA. Click on the 2 global index funds that I've given you of. Set up the monthly direct debit for what you can afford, even if it's £50, and forget about it for a while. When you can afford to do more, add a little bit more and keep doing that and build up that muscle and that habit of investing. If you have some spare or surplus cash, put it into that. And the thing with ISAs is you can get hold of that money. It's different to SIPs and SASs and pensions where you can't get hold of that to 50 plus. Put it in, you can get hold of that if the worst life event ever happened. You never want to time the market and take money out when the stocks, when something's on a drop or on a dip. But worst case scenario, you ever needed that money, you could go get it. So go put it somewhere that is accessible, but also is a place that's going to get you returns. It's safe, it's relatively risk-free, it's simple. Let's not overcomplicate this. We can dive down into the details of everything as we go through this series, but let's just start. And one of the final problems that I see when people are investing is they quit too soon. They start investing and then they quit because they don't see the returns quick enough, or they even worse, see losses. So right now, the S&P 500, which is a big part of the global index funds and a big part of the world market, is having a huge dip. Donald Trump is in power and his tariffs and what he's doing is causing a lot of uncertainty and worry, and markets don't like that. And to date, I think it's dropped about 10% this month. But if you don't worry about that and think long term and think that I'm going to get gains over a longer period of time, and don't look at it every day or every week and just let it and set and forget, you will not have to, it will not be a problem. Don't pull it out when things are going badly, leave it. If anything, try and buy a little bit more. So my closing thoughts on all of this is you don't have to start big, you don't have to be too clever, you don't have to be Warren Buffett, you don't have to be Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or any of these people to create substantial wealth in your life. You have to be consistent, you have to be patient, and you have to do what lots of people aren't doing and have to start. So start with £100, build it up, and before you know it, you will be in a great position. But I hope, and if this video helps one person just start investing, then I'll be delighted. But I just hope that you will start investing in that. Be patient, break it down, enjoy the process. Thank you very much for watching this one. I'll see you on the next one.